Hey everybody, welcome back. Mr. Smith here. We're going to round out our initial study of nuclear physics here by looking at the energetics of radioactivity. So E equals mc squared gets put really to work in how we do this. So let's go dive in and take a look at a sample example of a radioactive decay, and I'll show you how this operates. You're going to see me do a very standard type of approach a few times, and really the kinds of questions we get asked in the textbook, they change a little bit, but the method that I'm going to show you is really the same for all of them, so look out for it. So first thing, uranium-238 decays by alpha emission. Uranium-238 has the symbol 92U238. They ask us to write down the equation for it. So if we spit out an alpha particle, that means we get 90, and that means 4 chunks of mass go missing, so we're going to be left with 234. And I looked this up on my periodic table, and I find that that's the element thorium. So I've got 90, thorium 234, and then here's our alpha particle. Now, here's what I want you to do. For every single one of these problems, I'm going to put a delta M over on the right-hand side. And here's the deal I want you to do. You can make this easy. If that delta M turns out to be positive, then that is energy that's released because the missing mass, if it shows up over here, will be converted to the energy that's released when the reaction goes forward. Also, if the missing mass over here is positive, that means that in ordinary nature, that's a favored reaction. So this is the way it would go if nature had a choice. What does it mean? If this is negative, it means that nature won't choose to do that reaction. So it won't go in nature if it's left to its own devices. Okay? So having said all that, let's just dive in and I'll show you how easy this is. We're going to live on Appendix B in our textbook. So we're going to look up masses, write down all the decimal points, and it's a tad tedious to be honest with you, but we're going to go ahead and do a good job of it because we can be careful with numbers. So 238.050783 is the mass of my U-238, and he gives birth to something that's lighter, which is 234.043601 plus an alpha particle, which is 4.002603. And that's a helium nucleus in Appendix B. And then change in mass. So what do? You just do the subtracting. You just add up this side and add up that side. And then you look for the missing mass. So it turns out in this equation, the right side sum over here, what I get when I add them is 238.0, let's do a better O, 0.042604. And you can see that there is some missing mass. So the right side's a little light compared to the left side. Okay, well, what nature's going to do is get happy. Mass got lost. That means energy's going to get delivered. So delta M is just the difference between those two, and that turns out to be kind of small, 0.0045 of these atomic mass units we've been working in. Now, what you want to do is convert that, I think, into a handier version of atomic mass units. So what I like to do is multiply by my very handy conversion factor. There's 931.5 MeVs per c squared in one atomic mass unit. And so what I do when I get this is figure out that the missing mass is equal to 4.266 MeVs per c squared. And what do I do with that is I just now plug that into E equals mc squared. So what I'm going to do to get the change in energy, or the energy that's liberated, is just multiply this whole thing by c squared, and it's so beautiful because that's why we use this in the first place. The c squareds cancel, and I get the energy liberated is 4.266 MeVs. Okay? That's how they're all going to work. Here's a different version of the same thing. How much energy would it take to liberate the last neutron from U-238? That sounds kind of like an epic movie, doesn't it? 92U-238. How do we write this question? Well, think about what they're doing. If you take a neutron away from U-238, you might think the atom's going to fight you because it likes those neutrons. Those big atoms rely on those neutrons to keep all the protons from going too crazy, right? So let's go and see what happens. if we take away a neutron, what we've done is create an isotope of U-237. And then we'll have, as spare parts lying around, one neutron. And then, as I always do, I put down delta M. So go to Appendix B, go crazy, write down all the masses like I'm going to do. So you've got 238.050783 is going to create 237.0487. Oh my, there's more. 3027 plus a neutron, and the neutron is 1.008665. And I go ahead and leave my delta M on the side. Okay, so what do? Add up the right-hand side. This whole side over here adds up to, oh, I didn't even get it, to the subtraction, right? Let's just go straight to figuring out delta M. So delta M turns out to be negative in this case. It's 0.006612 of an AMU. So this side was heavier than that side, right? Okay, so here it is. This atom didn't like to have that neutron taken away from it. So if we're going to want to do that, we're going to have to go in with energy and apply that energy to the nucleus and use our own energy to steal that neutron away. And as we do, we'll just convert that to MeVs over c squared units. So delta M, if we convert it, is negative 6.15 MeVs per c squared. And then change in energy, or energy taken, is going to be mc squared. And we just multiply negative 6.15 MeVs over c squared times our c squared, and we get that the missing energy is 6.15 MeVs. Okay? A thing of beauty. How about we do a couple more and go through them fast? So here's a different version. Cobalt-60 decays by beta emission. Write the nuclear decay equation and determine the maximum kinetic energy of the beta particle. Same thing. Go ahead, let's dive in. We're going to go cobalt-60. So cobalt-60 is element number 27. So 27 cobalt-60 creates, when it spits out, a -1 beta 0 and an antineutrino. And here's our change in mass while I'm at it. Let's think about the element, right? It's going to have a proton number of 28. The mass stays the same, and the element that has 28 protons turns out to be nickel. Okay, so here we go to Appendix B. Let's just lay them all out. We've got 59.933822 gives rise to 59.930791. And then we'll add on the electron because we're being scrupulous. I don't think it's going to make much of a difference, but let's go ahead 1000548858 U's plus delta M. Now, let's go ahead and check it out. Does this delta M turn out to be positive or negative? It turns out this side over here is a little light. So the delta M is plus. And this is a reaction that does happen by itself in nature. Well, it kind of said so, didn't it? This is the way the cobalt-60 chooses to do stuff. So delta M is 0.00248 atomic mass units. And do the mass conversion, convert that to energy. And the maximum kinetic energy of the beta particle would happen if all of the energy of this step was given to the beta particle. And that would be a change in energy of 2.31 MeVs. Okay? How about one more? So I don't know if this is obvious to you, but this is the same kind of question, just asked differently. Determine if this reaction is possible. So what we're doing, looking to see where the delta M is. So we're going to lay out the decay of carbon-11. It might make sense that carbon-11 is not going to want to give up a proton, but let's go ahead and check and see how it really feels about it. So 10.012937 is the mass of our boron-10. Mass of a proton, we've got that 1.007276 U, and as we do, we write delta M tacked onto the end. Anyway, we go with our calculators, go ahead and get the delta M, and delta M in this case turns out to be negative 0.008779 of our atomic mass units. So if they're just trying to tell if the reaction is possible or not, you're done. It's not. So that reaction won't happen by itself. If you want to drive it, it's possible, but it's going to cost you energy. Okay? And that's what it is. So bring your questions with you. We'll be working on this in the future. Take care of yourself. Have a great day. Bye-bye.